Good afternoon, warm afternoon to all you attendees in our meeting room. Thank you for joining us. This afternoon, we have our second presentation session where different student groups will be presenting their uh, implementation strategy, a summary of the implementation strategy for us to note and mark them accordingly. On Tuesday, we had group one with the summary. And for today, for this session, we have groups 2 and 3. And selected reps will be presenting a summary of the strategy, foreign policy implementation or operational strategy. So for today, the panel is made up of myself and Mr. Ako. We'll use the marking criteria in the learning guide to go through and mark the oral part of your assessment. So the program is we'll start off with the first speaker, or group 2 rep, and then we'll go to the second speaker, the group 3 rep, and then we'll not conclude, but we'll go to Mr. Ako to get his feedback and his comments. And after Mr. Ako's feedback or comment, we'll open the floor for general Q&A from the audience. So that's the lineup, or that's the outline of the program. So without further delay, I now hand over the virtual microphone to Mr. Jerome Niggins, who will be representing Group 2. Please, Jerome, go ahead.
Can you see my PowerPoint?
Yes, yes.
Yes, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today, we are examining PNG's foreign policy on security and defense 2024, which is our foreign policy. And it is a crucial document designed to safeguard our sovereignty and strengthen national security. So moving on, we recognize that defense focuses on military preparedness, while security is a broader concept ensuring overall stability and resilience. The primary challenge is moving from policy intent to institutional action, and strong institutions are essential for continuity and adaptability. So, for foreign policy on security and defense 2024 sets a clear direction to safeguard Papua New Guinea's sovereignty and strengthen security amidst an increasingly dynamic regional setting. And here is the definition. Defense and security refers to the measures and strategies state employs to protect its sovereignty, territorial integrity, population, and national interest from external and internal threats. Now, defense focuses on military preparedness and the capacity to deter or respond to aggression, and security encompasses a broader range of protections, ensuring overall stability and resilience. And there is a two note there, as you can see from the screen. Transitioning from policy intent to institutional action is the primary outcome. All policies outline priorities and rules. Institutions fail to turn them into tangible results. And the second note, strong institutions also ensure continuity, accountability, and protection of gains from political changes or short-term pressures. Moving on to the next is the problem identification. So historically, our security efforts have been flagged by Ed uh, Augustine. For example, the Defense Force, PNGDF, previously shifted focus with no clear strategic direction. Reforms in the past were slow, piecemeal, and major expansion plans stalled due to weak institutions and funding. So ad hoc means actions taken in a reactive, short-term, or improvised way, often to deal with immediate problems, uh, then rather than being part of a long-term plan strategy. So our foreign policy is more focused on avoiding the ad hoc. So as you can see from the screen about the security relations from the past and some of the uh, ad hoc situations that have been through, and our policy is the pardon me the year and the security relations from the past have not been implemented successfully, and as a result there were some ad hoc, and our policy aims to avoid the ad hoc. Moving on to our policy objectives. The Security and Defense Foreign Policy 2024 establishes four key objectives that align directly with our national aspirations, which is Vision 2050 and Medium-Term Development Plan 4. And as you can see from the screen, there are four policy objectives of our uh, policy. The first one is border security, maritime and land, securing our borders against smuggling and transnational crime. And the second objective is internal stability and law and order, reducing crime and improving social order. And the second objective of policy is defense and intelligence capability, building institutional capacity for national resilience. And the final objective of our policy is regional partnership and diplomacy, leveraging our uh, geostrategic position and strengthening international relations. And as you can see from the screen, the policy and alignment, the four objectives is aligned to the two national aspirations, which is Vision 2050 and the Medium Term Development Plan. And all of our four objectives are linked to the two national aspirations, as you can see from the screen. Moving on to institutional mapping. So successful implementation relies entirely on our key institutions, and we must understand their primary roles and most importantly, their key constraints that a policy must address. So let's begin with the PNC Defense Force and Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary. The PNC Defense Force is the lead agency in protecting territory through patrols and interdictions. Their focus must be on strengthening maritime and rapid response units. But a crucial, pardon me, but a critical constraint in their reliance on donor support for assets and maintenance. Now, the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary maintains internal law and order, and their primary challenge is tackling underfunding and corruption while working to build provincial or community policing teams and expand rural rates. And from the table, moving on to the intelligence and diplomacy, the National Intelligence Organization provides early warning and operational analysis, uh, and their core tasks are developing an intelligence fusion center and urgently training local expertise. The Department of Foreign Affairs (DFA) is responsible for building partnerships and upholding our friends to all and friends to all policy, which crucially they must add implementation uh, closest to deals and secure training and technology transfer. Now, the coordination. The National Security Council, NSC, is central to this entire system, uh, tasked with coordinating and overseeing national security. Its primary focus is ensuring overall synchronization, aligning interagency roles, and monitoring commitments and key performance indicators. That is about the institutional mapping. We move on to the next screen. The next screen, as you can see, it is implementation framework. So that strategy is structured in three phases, supported by a significant 500 million budget commitment, which is proposed. And three phases are as follows, as you can see from the screen. The first phase is the short term phase, which is 0 to 12 months, uh, which focuses on establishing a foundation, conducting policy review, launching initial training, and setting up an interagency coordination unit. And the second phase is the medium term, which is 1 to 3 years, which focuses to capacity building and regional integration, including training, infrastructure upgrades, and engaging with ASEAN and Pacific Islands Forum. And the third implementation framework phase is the long term, which is 3 to 5 years. The focus is on formalizing strategic partnerships with allies like Australia and United States, conducting joint exercises and fully establishing the National Security Council. And the final one is the it's, monitoring and evaluation of all the phases, which is a quarterly reviews and reporting, and where the key performance indicators, training partnerships, and infrastructure. And the first term, the key department would be Department of Defense and the Department of Foreign Affairs. And the institutions are Papua New Guinea Defense Force and the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary and the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade and the National Intelligence Organization. And the second phase is the key departments are Department of Defense and the institutions are Papua New Guinea Defense Force and the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary and the Department of uh, Foreign Affairs and Trade. And the third phase is the key department is Department of Defense as well as the Department of Foreign Affairs. And the institutions are Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade and the National Intelligence Organization. So for monitoring and evaluation, the institution will be National Security Council. Moving on to the next screen, which is institutional capacity and reform needs. So we have identified three main categories of risk and proposed clear mitigations. But before we move on to that, as you can see from the table, we have three phases which we have discussed already. The first phase, the budget proposed budget is 30 million, then 50 million, and the second phase is 150 million, and the third the phase is 300 million. So total of 500 million for 5 years. So there are some reform needs, and as you can see from the screen, there are three reform needs with clear mitigation strategies. The first one is capacity and coordination risk. This is the risk of weak interagency responses due to poor skills and systems. We mitigate this by establishing a national security implementation unit for planning and tasking. And the second reform needs would be resource and technology risk. Inadequate funding and outdated tech undermine intelligence and response. We address this through fiscal safeguards, specifically a ring-fenced security fund, and by deploying affordable civilian tech for border security. And another reform need is governance risk. So unclear mandates and political interference threaten leadership. Mitigation involves formalizing a memorandum of understandings with partners and ensuring that all procurement mandates life cycle sustainment. Without further ado, we move on to the next screen. Now moving on to the recommendations. So basically, the group and I, we have come up with six recommendations, and the six recommendations, as you can see from the screen, they are listed. We recommend the Fleet Papua New Guinea Defense Force and Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary capacity. So states recruitment, modular and training programs, ring fence multi-year budget. So some of you might wonder what ring fence multi-budget is. So basically, ring fence is means that the budget that is allocated for the PNC Defense Force and the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary for capacity building must be protected and used for its intended purpose. So that is ring fence, and there must not be any leakage from the funds that is given to PNC Defense Force and Defense Force and Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary for capacity building. So that is what it means by ring fence multi-year budget. So there must not be any leakages when the budget is allocated to the PNG Defense Force and the Royal Papua. So that is one of our recommendation. And the second recommendation is for fiscal safeguards. So defense security fund, life cycle hosting, third-party audits, and transparent procurement are what we recommend in fiscal safeguards. And the third recommendation is external partnerships. So we recommend external partnerships, formal MOUs or memorandum of understandings defining scope, command, data rules, and capacity transfer, which diversify partners. And fourth recommendation is we recommend coordination, establish a national security implementation unit for planning, tasking, and regional tasking and daily reviews. And that fifth recommendation is we recommend border security. So use affordable surveillance tech, boost patrols, community reporting, and regional joint operation. And the last recommendation is for procurement sustainability. Mandate life cycle sustainment, pilot test technologies, uh, include training and maintenance in contracts. That is six recommendation from us. And moving on to conclusion, as you can see from the screen, we have 3 points there. But in conclusion, would like uh, in conclusion, this policy represents a crucial shift. It moves beyond symbolic commitments by linking national goals to operational frameworks. It establishes concrete mechanisms for measurable impact, including protected and mandate monitoring. Ultimately, this framework ensures a resilient and strategic implementation that will secure PNG's sovereignty and deliver a credible, proactive foreign and security policy. With that, thank you everyone, Mr. Ako and Mr. Evora and my colleagues, the CAs, the PTs for your attention. And here is our reference, and I now hand it over to Evora and Mr. Ako. And I would also extend my thank you to group members for entrusting me to present on behalf of the group. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you, Jerome, and thank you, Group 2, for really interesting presentation and really good timing as well. So thank you for sharing your knowledge and what you have put together over the past couple of weeks. I now move on to the next presenter representing Group 3, which is Mr. Tommy Kawari. Tommy, please go ahead. And if you have any questions or comments for Jerome, please take note. And after Mr. Ako gives his feedback, then we'll open the floor for questions and comments for Jerome and his group, group number 2. Tommy, please go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Good afternoon. Can anyone hear me? Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. I have a problem with my laptop, so I have to check. So, sorry for the delay. Hey. Anyone see the PowerPoint that I'm to say?
Yeah, I can see it from here.
You can see
Yes,
it, but
yes.
Yes, we can see.
I didn't see the PowerPoint. That's why I second app. Any assistant to help me here, please? Oh, see this.
Try play start a PowerPoint.
But
Try and start a PowerPoint.
yeah, but I didn't see the PowerPoint itself. So can helping us become more self-reliant and less dependent. So by looking at a short-term, the medium-term development, or our foreign policy directly supports the support and that's how we work with other countries to attract investment into important areas like agriculture, tourism, manufacturing, digital technology, and helping SME sectors. But out of the national strategies, it is very important to bear in mind that 20 national goals of national sovereignty and self-reliance, which are two pillars. Sorry, pardon. PNG's national goal of national sovereignty and self-reliance and Papua New Guinea ways. These are the two key pillars for achieving economic independence. As national sovereignty and self-reliance directly promotes economic independence by assisting PNG's control over its natural resources, domestic policies, and developing agenda without foreign interference. So this goal encourages building robust internal productive capacity, reducing reliance on external aid and debt, and making decisions that prioritize national economic interest. And to the Papua New Guinean ways complements this by promoting cultural appropriate and sustainable inclusive economic development. So it encourages ownership, community-based enterprise, and utilization of traditional knowledge and values. By nature, this diverse internal driven industry, ensuring that wealth circulates within PNG. It reduces dependency on foreign dominated sectors to build a resilient self-sufficient economy. So to the next point is the institutional mapping. So if our vision and our policy, if there are no institutions, then it's just a piece of paper without someone responsible for implementing. So the key players of the responsible for the implementations of foreign affairs department is the first one, and to the Department of Treasury, Trade, and PM office, and also other departments under each of the main ones. So yeah, to make our goal of economic independence real, it's vital to clearly understand who is responsible for what, and it's a big team effort involving many government departments and specialized bodies all working together. So at the heart of it is the Department of Foreign Affairs. I have stated already, and they set a policy make sure everyone is on the same page and represent our country to the world, negotiating trade deals and managing our diplomatic relations. And the Department of Treasury focus on money side, providing economic advice, managing national finance and dealing with the international financial organization. The Department of National Planning and Monitoring and so foreign policy fits into our latter national development plans, making sure it's aligned with our aspiration for our country's growth. So there are areas include the Department of Trade, Commerce, and Industry, which works to identify export opportunities, help our local business with international standards, and foreign investment. Special ministries like those of agriculture, fisheries, mining, tourism represent the industry interest globally. So beyond these departments, specialized bodies plays their part. The National Agriculture Quarantine and the National Fisheries Authority, those are all responsible departments which generate the revenue for internal economy of our country. So to ensure everyone work together, several committees are important. It's the National Economic and Fiscal Commission, or the NEFC, offers advice to our economic and fiscal policy. And crucially, there's a proposal for a new interdepartmental committee on trade and investment. This committee brings together representatives from foreign affairs, treasury, trade, planning, and industry ministries to work together as the main coordinating body, ensuring that our economic independence and policies put into action effectively and cohesively. So moving on to the implementing framework, we have a short term. As well, we have short term 1 to 2 years, and then we have 3 to 5 years, and then we have long term, which is 5+ years. So in the short term, the government prioritizes stabilization measures, including targeted investment in agriculture, small-scale agro processing, and tourism marketing. Quick wins can be achieved by upgrading rural roads and port facilities to improve market access for agriculture and produces. So initial budget allocating of amount of 500 million annually could be sourced from resource tax and revenues and concessional to World Bank, and coordination task force led by the Department of Commerce and Industry and support by the Department of Treasury should be established to align this initiative with the 2016 industrial strategy. To the medium term, 3 to 5 years, infrastructure expansion. It's the period where expansion of infrastructure accelerate with investment in energy, telecommunication, logistics to support diversification into the manufacturing and services. Trade partnership, such as the European Union Economic Partnership Agreement. So this will be leveraged to expand export of processed goods. Annual budget allocation of a billion should be channeled into the industrial parks, vocational education, and tourism infrastructure, monitoring and evaluation. Monitoring and evaluation mechanisms should be semi-annual progress by the National Legislative Council linked to performance-based. So to the long term, for 5 year plus, PNG must this policy pursue deep structural transformation by promoting downstream processing in mining, forestry, and agriculture. So moving on to the institutional reform needs. So PNG's economic, first of all, we look at strengthen bureaucratic capacity, then clarify mandates and responsibility, then introduce the performance planning monitoring system. So looking at bureaucratic capacity, PNG's economic agenda requires significant institutional strengthening to overcome the bureaucratic bottlenecks and enhance implementation efficiency. So first of all, look at the skills and human capital. So looking at we are moving to the the mandates and the responsibilities now. So looking at the skills and capital, human capital, a major constraint is the lack of skill labor, particularly in agro industry, tourism, and advanced manufacturing. So expanding vocational education, industry-specific training program is essential. And another thing is resource and system. The Department of Commerce and Industry, while tasked with implementing the 2016 industrial strategy, remains underfunded. So a dedicated industrial development fund will be established, allocating at least of the annual GDP to support SMEs research and innovation. Also upgrade ICT systems as regards to trade facilities. So yeah, addressing bureaucratic gates And we have solutions for sustainability, resolve the rules and mandates for institutional reform. Or moving on to the risk assessment. So the first of all is the political reshuffle. A political reshuffle is simply submitted by the rhetoric is described this as the change of government for like for Papua New Guinea. We have after 5 years, we don't know if the prime minister could change another person will so change of political members. So the main country financial independence can be led by frequent change in its top ministers, which can delay projects, make decisions unexpectedly, and make it harder to convince other countries to invest or trade. So these changes can also damage relationship with other countries, think negotiation and joint projects on board, and make it harder to create new opportunities or rely less on external help. So avoiding ministerial reshuffle is unrealistic in a democratic government. However, this policy is built into strong, reliable system and have wide political agreement. This greatly reduces the potential to make foreign policy and economic independence stable. So we move on to the policy recommendation. So first of all, we have our main points of our main recommendations are create a foreign policy implementation force, develop a national foreign policies scoreboard, train diplomats in economic development diplomacy, and establish feedback between overseas missions and domestic agencies. So these are our policy recommendation. So actively, one of the main one is the diversified trade partnership for actively pursue and solidify trade agreements with a broader range of countries. So reducing reliance on any single major economy. This mitigates risk from geopolitical tension or economic down. Evidence suggests diversified trade networks to greater economic resilience and less vulnerability to external shocks. So another one is to invest in domestic strategic industry, implement targeted incentives, resilience, and regulatory support for key domestic industries deemed critical for national security and economic stability, such as advanced manufacturing, renewable energy, and critical minerals processing. This fosters self-sufficiency and reduce dependency on foreign supply chains. To the conclusion, so this proposal outlines how the working towards economic independence foreign policy can be effectively operational within PNG's public service machinery, ensuring its alignment with national development strategies and moving beyond ordinary growth to concrete action. Or policy requires a systematic approach to be implemented within existing public service machinery. So this transition and set a policy addressing achieving economic self-sufficiency and national prosperity. So clear organizations and robust mechanisms for implementation, monitoring, and evaluation. So we have stated as shown on a PowerPoint that I think that's the end of our presentation. So thank you everyone for your time. Yes, thank you, Mr. Gira and Mr. Professor.
All right, thank you, Tommy. Unfortunately, like I mentioned in the start, out of Medellin, so the network is not working well. So I was unable to get into the meeting to listen to the first part of your presentation. But once I came back in, I recorded the part where I joined. So thank you very much for sharing with us what you and your group have done over the past couple of weeks. And I hope those of you attending have learned something, and also those who will be viewing via YouTube can also learn a thing or two about foreign policy and the making and implementation of foreign policy. I now hand over the virtual microphone to Mr. Ako to give us his comments, his feedback, and then we'll open the floor for Q&A.
So, Mr. Aguirre and ladies and gentlemen, so we'll start from group 2. Okay, yeah. We'll start from group 2 on Jerome's presentation. It was the presentation, all the presentations so far have been focused and spot on. And I say spot on because you are arguing your strategic intent. You have a strategic intent, then you're arguing why it should be there. So there is no right or wrong answer to it. This is your group's, your EPG's idea on how the foreign policy should be run. Okay, so we cannot judge that against standing circumstances. So it's a focus on, and you're focusing it on security and the key developments. With regards to the implementation framework, you mentioned implementation framework. One idea would be to convert them into relevant activities, or if you would want to include it, we might say to convert them into relevant project management plans. Okay, and I did note that in the implementation framework, you have the M&E as part of that framework. Although one suggestion would be to call it the M&E framework and include all those phases in it. So the monitoring and evaluation will cover all those phases going forward, because every activity or every every activity or every focus must have an M&E factor to it. It's well presented and it's focused to the point. Okay. In terms of the MTDP4, I thought it would have been better also to, I know it's high level, but it would have been better also to maybe mention the SPAs involved in the MTDP4, because remember that the foreign policy is always read thoroughly by any economy that is trying to have bilateral relations with us. They want to look at what plans we have, so that then they can adjust their plans accordingly from their side in order to move for bilateral relations. So it might be just one idea could have been to provide the actual SPAs. And now, in terms of institutional capacity building, I thought some of the other security agencies, such as immigration and NACIA, could have been included also. Those were my thoughts. So I thought on the presentation that's the summary on my take on your presentation. But well done on it. Like the group 1, it was well focused on your group's thoughts. So congratulations on that. Now, shall I continue on to Tommy? So you allow for Q&As on this one.
Yeah, just continue on, and then after you
Okay.
finish your comment, we move on to the Q&A session.
Okay. Yeah. Now with Tommy's again, Tommy, your group's presentation, our work was focused. It was against focus, and your focus was on economic independence, and you had two maybe main strategies on how to achieve it would be to reduce external aid and also to assert PNG's sovereignty globally. With the in terms of the core problem, I thought maybe when you mentioned that there is people working in silos and work is not coordinated. So if you remember one of my previous lectures, how APEC 2018 brought all those people together to focus on one thing, it might be an idea to look at an international engagement and just to get that focus in place. Just some thoughts on that. Now, in terms of the policy alignment, I know that you had MTD4 as medium term and then you went long term to Vision 2050. Now, maybe I'd like to ask, was there a reason why you did not include the PNG DSP 2010-2030? I'll leave that with that. Now, in terms of the decision trees, that's next level. Now, your presentation includes a decision tree, and sadly, decision trees are not commonly practiced in government, but we need that skill in now. Huh? We need a skill now, because then I will know that the cause and effect. It's a cause and effect engagement that would ensure that this will cause that and this will cause, and you continue adding on. One suggestion would be to include adaptive management along the way too. So as you come up to a cause and its effect, and if it's not what you do, you put in some adaptive measures in place to change it into another situation. But all in all, it's a great implementation framework. Same again, it also needs to, I think it would be better to the audience to have the DSP 2010-2030 included in it on board this plan, purposely to advocate for economic independence, noting very well that the DSP talks about economic zones. It talks about economic zones, economic corridors, you see? So if you were talking about economic independence, that would be one of the first points of call to look at, because if you understand that, and from economic corridors, then your ideas on external aid and asset in PNG sovereignty could then trickle down. But the Tupla Group 1 term, Group 2 and Group 3, congratulations on well thought out ideas. And I'll stop there. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ako, for your critical comments. I hope the students have taken note, and it will help you to develop your own understanding of the policy environment and government system and how things work in PNG.
Sorry,
I also like the
Mr. Emil,
Go ahead.
just one thing. Sorry, my apologies for cutting there. I didn't notice I did a second. In terms of your policy recommendations, you're recommending for, this is Group 3, you're recommending for foreign policy implementation task force. So you need to explain that this is not a duplication of the Department of Foreign Affairs. Or maybe what did you have in mind when you came up with the recommendation? That maybe that's something you might want to answer going forward.
Yeah, whether it's a joint task force or a new task force created. The point I wanted to make was focusing and prioritizing. I think as a way forward for a developing country like PNG, we cannot list all our national interests and then try to achieve them all in one policy, one foreign policy, or all one go, to one by time. So like Mr. Ako said, focusing APEC, you choose events or you choose a particular national interest like what you have done, economic interest or security interest, ideological, the relationship with Israel, and then you pursue that and make that become the foundation of your foreign policy for the next 5 to 10 years if you're in government or a bureaucrat. So the next government can, review and then look at what you have done and then reprioritize. Maybe priority 2 becomes priority 1, or 5 becomes 1, and so on and so forth, and it goes on. It's a long process. So that's something that we need to, all the students need to take note. So when you're out there in government and as leaders of the country, then you can influence change. Try to make sure we focus on something or we prioritize our national interests and we pursue that through our foreign policy or other policies for that matter. So prioritizing, focusing is very important. So as a developing country, we put all our resources into one particular area and we focus on building that, focus all our diplomatic effort in one particular area. So at least the next 5 or 10 years, we move on to the other. So that's something that I've learned from our presentation today. So I now open the floor for questions, comments from all you attendees. Directed to the presenters or to Mr. Ako, and those of you want to respond to Tommy and Jerome, you're free to also respond to Mr. Ako, some of the points that he mentioned. We have roughly 50 to 50 to 60 60 minutes, 50 minutes.
Mr. I have several comments to make.
Go ahead, Peter.
So I have 3 comments and 1 question. So the comments I'll be commenting on group 2's presentation. So for my first comment, well presented, Jerome Niggin. So I like how they put all the information into the table format, which makes it easier for them to present. So yeah, well presented, Jerome. And also our internal and external security is very important, as Papua New Guinea is facing a lot of threat with both the internal and external security. So this is a good policy which can increase our security personnel and mitigate the security threats within the country and along the borders as well. So, and one suggestion, I think suggestion for the recommendation, I think for our internal security, the government should allow the grade 12 and 10 drop out to join the Bomana Police Institute or college as a mass recruitment. So by doing so, it will increase the number of police personnel within the country, which will also make it easier for police to handle law and order issues within the country. And this is a question also to Mr. Ako. So as we all know, PNG is said to be blacklisted in 2026. So my question is, Mr. If PNG is blacklisted, will it affect our trade and also the connection between our trade partners?
Sweden, I think you were referring to us being gray listed.
Yeah.
It's it's something to do with finances and how we make reports, to on the movement of finances in our own country and transparency. Now that is The reason why we are in this level is not because we have made we have created something bad, and I'm saying it from the point of reporting. See, the FASO, the BPNG unit that deals with finance transactions and irregularities. It is also part of a national committee that is made up of a number of agencies. Now, from the last time I was in one of those information sessions, the presenter was saying that if everyone can provide their updates regularly on time, then the responsible agency who deals with that gray listing can provide those stocks how we go to big organizations so that we are considered favorably. I think some of those things are not happening, and if I can change that, it goes with in the past they used to call it ease of doing business, EODB, ease of doing business. With ease of doing business, we can understand it very, very well. You have labor that deals with work permits. You have IPA that deals with company registration. You have immigration that deals with issuing work visas. And maybe customs that deals with the clearance of hardware by investors who come bringing in hardware to start up businesses. Now, I've just only mentioned 4 organizations. Now, IPA can issue register a company within an hour. Well, online. So then that means that we are in the top 5 of company registration. But then it goes to issuing a work permit for those group of people who registered their company to invest in Papua New Guinea. It takes 2 months to issue work permits for company A. And because it has taken 2 months to issue work permits for company A, their visa applications with immigration are also delayed because in order for immigration to issue a visa, they have to know the period of the duration of your work permit, and then visa will be issued accordingly. So I think we are in such a situation with the gray listing stuff. There's a lot of variables that contribute to us being in gray list. It is not just one part that covers finance irregularities. There are other factors involved too. Okay, that's my view on that, my personal view on that, Sweden. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Akov. So yeah, that's all I think, and thank you.
Thank you, Sweden, and thank you, Mr. Ako. Anybody else with a comment or question, or questions for the presenters, or Mr. Ako or myself? The floor is open.
Yeah, Mr. I'm about to reply to Mr. Ako's question about the task force which we do. We
Yes,
recommend.
go ahead.
So yeah. So the task force, it was a proposed one. I think I mentioned it somewhere that. So it was a proposed one because we believe that, as I said earlier on, many of the government departments sometimes. So we proposed that we have a task force set in place. So the task force will be chaired by the Prime Minister as the head of the National Executive Council, then include the representative from various field various department. So from planning, from finance, from commerce, from investment and IP, and also Bank of Papua New Guinea, other departments and other. In which our foreign policy, they were responsible to implement our foreign policy. Those individual representative will made up the task force. So the task force, so it will be responsible to overlook the implementation of the policy and control, and also resolve some cross-sectoral challenges. So meaning if a sector face challenges, this the independent body, it will become like an independent body, will step in to guide it back on track. So yeah, this is what we propose. So that's why saying that. Yeah.
Okay. I see. Thank you, Tommy. I see where you're coming from. So it will be something like this new authority which is being formed under the Department of Prime Minister and NECD. I think it's called the National Monitoring Authority. That's to monitor development engagements in the country. But then, you know, as Papua News, we know that, okay, so now people are going to, so what's the role of the Department of National Monitoring and Implementation now? So that was the question I was going to ask you. So you set up a task force. You're going to make the people at Department of Foreign Affairs jump up and down. Because they're going to say, okay, now the setup of the task force now it's making us look like we haven't been doing our job. So we'll set him up on the task force law implementing foreign policy, which by right comes under the responsibility of DFA. Your idea is a good one. You need to provide more arguments to it to ensure that a cabinet by endorsing. Okay, because why I said it is that you are now providing cabinet with an idea on foreign policy. So you are now bringing it up to this level now, and there are many players involved now. Most of them powerful people. They make decisions. They change decisions. So you have to balance it very well with you want to go down that pathway and bend the bridges, or you want to ensure that there's some leeways there to ensure, because the moment cabinet endorses this, then we just a reason where, so you want a task force. A task force has a start date and a use close to use by date. It is a start date and a finish date. So your recommendation is high level, but maybe let's say cabinet said, okay, provide the strategic plan on why this task force should come up and all that. It will take another 1 or 2 years for your team to come up with the strategic plan, funding to fund your consultants to come up with that to argue the case that the task force should now be set up to implement the foreign policy. And I do agree with you from the extent that if there was a task force to implement the foreign policy white paper which you are recommending, that things might run differently than if a department was doing it on a business as usual basis. So good argument. Thanks, Tommy.
Thank you, Tommy, and thank you, Mr. Ako. Jerome, I have a question for you and your group. I saw the list of institutions that you listed down, and out of curiosity, I wanted to know how you will include the parliamentary or permanent parliamentary committee or the parliamentary committee on foreign affairs and defense. Because you're talking about security and defense, and at the moment, we all know that this committees are not really functioning the way it should be functioning. But as a future policymaker and a leader, how will you get this committee to be actively involved in providing the M&E or oversight that we need in this country? While Jerome is preparing his response, anybody else with a question or comment? We'll come back to Jerome when he's ready with this. Anybody in group 2 can help Jerome to.
Good afternoon. Sorry, I have a comment to make just to add on to one of the recommendations made by, I think, Group 2, where they said for border vulnerabilities must be handled through affordable surveillance technology and increased patrols and whatnot, community reporting and so on. So just a suggestion from like a communications background, I suggest that these, maybe they could include community-based surveillance networks through either mobile apps or radio networks where there's a hotline provided to the public so that they can report suspicious activities. And that's all.
Yeah, thank you, Zola. That's a really good comment. Jerome, go ahead.
I must have lost. I didn't get your question. I believe so. Please, can you repeat the question? I think I didn't understand your question. So can you please clarify on more about that?
Okay, sorry, Jerome. Me looking more at all government institutions, you listed it down, so I'm asking, you're talking about security, your focus is on security, but you know, including this permanent parliamentary committee on foreign affairs and defense to help you with your monitoring and evaluation or to provide that oversight that is needed to check what defense and Department of Defense is doing, the PNG Defense Force. So my question is, how will you include the committee, the parliamentary committee on foreign affairs and defense in your implementation plan? Or do you have any plan or any thoughts on that on how to include the committee? Like I said, the committee is inactive. It's chaired by Honorable Belden Nama, and it's supposed to, for example, the treaty now that we've already, Cabinet has endorsed, and now it will go to Parliament for ratification, for endorsement, further endorsement, and then final endorsement, and then it will be binding, legally binding on PNG and Australia. So will it go through the process of scrutiny by the permanent parliamentary or the parliamentary committee on foreign affairs and defense, or will it go straight to the parliament? That's now a process that is confusing. We don't know what will happen in the next couple of days. But cabinet has already, or NEC has already endorsed the treaty. So going back to your implementation plan, I'm asking like, how will you include the committee in your implementation plan?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Igara, for the question. From the institutional we have defense force, can you hear me? We have defense force and the national intelligence organizations, and for the parliamentary, permanent parliamentary committees, I think that they are policy makers and they should be included into the policy because From our policy, we haven't included that in the slide, but I think that for the permanent parliamentary body, it should be included in the institutional mapping. Yeah.
Okay, thank you,
And
Jerome.
sometimes
Anybody else? Oh, go ahead.
I think that because of some of the challenges as permanent parliamentary bodies faces, that it can it depends for challenges, especially when the permanent parliamentary bodies faces especially on limited resource and expertise and providing effective oversight, which requires significant expertise and resources. And intergovernmental nature of defense policy, the existing parliamentary structures needs to be included. So hopefully, I think it should be included in the institutional mapping policy. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerome. We'll go to Mr. Ako and then for his comment, and then we'll listen to Stella Marie.
Yeah, I think I just typed my comment on the group conversation that with regards to the parliamentary committee. I know if like, for instance, let's assume that they are functioning, they would be jumping up and down on why this wasn't happen, or they would be congratulating the team for doing a job well done and coming through them and getting their recommendations and all that. And I think, Mr. Gil, that's a good question, but it goes back to the foreign policy white paper, which we are waiting for to be released. Did they also go to the parliamentary committee on foreign affairs? And that's a very good question too. Yeah, I'll leave it there.
Stella Marie, please go ahead.
Good afternoon, Mr. Yegera, Mr. Ako, and everyone that is online. I have 3 comments to make. The first 2 comments are on Group 1's presentation on PNG Wasman foreign policy. So there are policy recommendations. The first one was to strengthen governance and anti-corruption mechanisms, and the action was to fully operationalize the independent commission against corruption and empower the Ombudsman Commission and budget autonomy. And the second policy recommendation was to deploy technology for resource monitoring and security. And the action was to invest in satellite and drone surveillance to monitor the exclusive economic zones and border regions. Now, I have comments to make on this, which is to suggest 2 recommendations to it. So the first comment is to establish a foreign policy advisory council where a committee should be created that includes body of experts, leaders, civil society leaders, and youths to provide advice on treaties and strategic decisions. On to the second comment is digital diplomacy. To build capacity in digital diplomacy, including social media engagement, virtual summits, and cyber defense. So this can then support and advance our country's foreign policy goals. On to my commentary, it is on the group 2. They presented on the foreign policy on security and defense force 2024. So my comment is based on the implementation framework, where they have shown through the PowerPoint presentation very nicely the 4 terms. The first one is short term, 0 to 12 months. The second one is medium term, 1 to 3 years. The third term is the long term, 3 to 5 years. And the last one is monitoring and evaluation. So all of this implementation framework is all right. However, I suggest that they should have included the exact months and years where this foreign policy should be implemented. So they will show to the people that who they are presenting the foreign policy to, that they are pardon me. Yeah, so that they can show to the people that they are presenting the foreign policy to, that they agree or they strongly want to implement this foreign policy to bring changes to our country. Yes, thank you, and that's all.
Okay, thank you, Stella Marie, for adding your comments. It enriches our discussion on what our groups have presented. Anybody else with a comment or a question for the groups or for Mr. Ako and myself? Another good point as well raised by Zola. So I hope all of you are mentally taking notes or writing what we are discussing in our meeting, so you keep it at the back of your mind. Questions, comments from attendees? We have roughly 20 to 25 minutes remaining.
Mr. I just have one question to ask.
Okay, thank you, Essie. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's about the foreign policy. I just want to ask if is there a specific, or I mean, is there a criteria, a structure for drafting a foreign policy? Like, does the Foreign Affairs have a structure for drafting a foreign policy? Yeah, that's my question that I want to ask. Thank you.
If I can go first on this, Mr. Aguirre, there could be a generic structure, but but the structure shouldn't be set in stone. I say that because it's an international relations game plan, and as we are speaking, the situation internationally has changed right now, and then by tomorrow it has changed again. So we don't want to be tied down to chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, and so everything falls under that. Anything that doesn't fall under that, it's none of our business. We'll maybe just leave them as generic, leave the structure as generic as possible, and then we work on that, because we might need to review the foreign policy next year. And if according to the structure we put in, that's confirmed that all A, B, C, and D is that, and if A, B, C, and D is okay, that's fine. But what happens if we find out tomorrow that the Solomon Islands have allowed our friends from the north to build 3 wharfs or ports? You see, then that changes the whole thing. But then because we are tied down to our heading A, heading B, heading C, and heading D, we can't do much about it now. It's endorsed by Parliament, and that's it. And if you need the parliamentary act decision to be amended, then you have to go through the whole parliamentary process again to get it amended. So having it very, very high level, you know, all the three presentations so far, the topics are really high level and nice. You see, you can one way. So you have group 2 talks about security and key developments. Group 3 talks about economic independence through reduction in aid and sovereignty. See, those are very high level things which can be up for interpretation. So if tomorrow the Solomon Islanders Honiara comes up with 3 international ports tomorrow, then we can say, okay, let's re-amend this way based on our sovereignty or globalization. We'll move it this way again. You see, so it allows room for development. But if we tied it down and say that no, we are going to look north and or we are going to look west, and that's as it is. That development over there on the east doesn't bother us because business domain plan. Then it's wrong because you see that development on the east and the people who are setting up those 3 ports there, they could happen to be our major investors in terms of infrastructure. But because they're setting up over there and they all bureau one time sample line, then you see it affects the dynamics. So having it high level like what you all are doing is better. You're putting you're thinking. You see, the sweet part of this whole thing is that you thought about it, and you said, okay, we're gonna our foreign policy will be on economic independence and sovereignty issues. You didn't just come up with that idea, or you didn't come up with security and defense, like saying everything else doesn't matter. Now we're going to focus on security and defense. Your group sat down and thought about it, and then like what Jerome and his people on security and defense 2024, then I am assuming that economic development comes under one of those pillars. You want to have secured, you want to secure your critical infrastructure first, so that then they can be, because they're secure, then they can start spewing out the factory lines of gold, oil, and what to support or boost our economic development. What kind of thing also?
All right, thank you, Mr. Ako, and also thank you, Essie. Essie, any more
Thank you.
comments or questions to add?
No, that's all. I just want to ask.
Okay, all right. Okay, Zola has a few questions. Zola, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Aguirre. These are just general questions from observation. So the first question that I'd like to ask is to you and Mr. Ako. And the question reads, do you think that the foreign policy curriculum that's offered here at Divine Word is adequately preparing students for real world diplomacy and international engagement? And also, just a interrelated question to this question directed to you, Mr. Yagira, is that you've advocated for blended learning and the use of social media and teaching international relations. So how has this approach shaped student engagement with foreign policy issues?
I let Mr. Ako answer the first one and then I'll...
Okay, yeah. Well, Zola, in terms of answering the question, we don't have any benchmark to it. You see, we have our friends at the UPNG. I'm not sure whether there's an IR course there, and I'm not sure whether the PAU and UOG have core subjects on IR. So I am thinking that the foreign policy course in Divine Word, which has been running for the last 5 years, is the premier subject premier foreign policy course that's been run in this country. Because we've asked for, we've invited our colleagues from the UPNG, and their participation has been very minimal, and the others are not interested. So I have to comment what the Diwanwood is doing as the front runner in international relations, and I am sure that as soon as the foreign policy comes out, it will boost this program better, because what's going to happen from next year on is we will have a guideline on the foreign policy to change the not to change, but to add more value to what that is coming out from the school itself. So yes, I personally think that the foreign policy program run by Diwanwood has a tremendous value. And in addition to what I said on the foreign policy, as soon as the treaties are signed, we'll have feelers out. There will be others coming and saying that program Lucy Mimigo is the program because it ties into the treaty and also kind of something. Those are the challenges I foresee that will come up. So we'll maintain and continue under the main strategic intent of foreign policy in PNG. So I'll allow Mr. Aguirre to answer the last question.
The second question, Zola is asking whether this blended approach will help shape or help us make better foreign policy decisions. Is that what you? Is that the
Shapes
main?
how this
Mhm.
approach will shape student engagement with foreign policy issues.
Foreign policy issues. How the blended approach. Yeah, that will be a good good question for students, because they're the products that we're trying to, and how they understand what we're doing and what we're sharing, the knowledge that we're imparting or sharing with them, and then how they get this knowledge and go incorporate it or use it once you're out of the system, or once you complete your program and then you find a job within the public service, and then how you apply what has been taught by Mr. Ako and myself. Then the feedback that you give will help us quantify or measure whether or not the blended approach that we are taking is effective. But I think Mr. Ako a few years ago met some of the students who graduated from, or the first batch, I think first or second, who are now working for the Department of International Trade and Investment. About 3 or 4 of them. They asked me to recommend 10, and I recommended 10, and some they pulled out, and about 3 or 4 of them they took the offer and they started off as trade officers. And I think Mr. Ako, in his conversation with them, they said that they learned a lot, and our approach really opened up their mind to know more about the public service, and then differentiate between what practitioners do and academics do. And hopefully we'll do a follow-up. Maybe we'll do a follow-up and then get more information, and that will help us to really provide a good answer to your question. So as this blended approach shape them in any way to become better policymakers and better decision makers, and help them to have a really good understanding of what is international relations and what is diplomacy from a PNG perspective, and then how to engage, how to analyze and do your analysis, your write-up, and then contribute towards decision making. So that's a really good question, and Mr. Ako can
Yeah,
expand on
Mr.
that with.
Yeah, if I may add to what you're saying, and the fact that we are recording all of them on YouTube, and they are there forever, unless we decide to delete them, but they are there forever. So they're all there as reference points for anyone, even in the public service or anyone at any other universities, to have a look at them. And but I think our current program, I mean, not because we are having a conversation on it. But I think our current program has more kick and it's more interactive and more participatory than the programs our other friends at the other universities are having. So we'll just continue to maintain this. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Yegira and Mr. Ako. Sorry, I'd just like to close off, conclude with a reflective comment. So from as far as we've come, I think that this unit has significantly impacted my understanding of diplomacy, foreign policy, policy frameworks, and basically like just the details of policy, the policy making process. And in my perspective, it encourages me to approach political issues and media criticism with an open mind, because in journalism, we're often taught that bad news is good news. And most of, well, lately, most of the political news that we've seen, there's been a lot of critics on that. And so, yeah, and so this through this unit, I've actually gained valuable insights into government operations and policy implementation strategies. And so I think that these insights will help me as a trainee journalist contribute to more accurate and balanced and factual reporting in the future on foreign policy and diplomatic efforts. So yeah, with that, I'd just like to thank Mr. Ako and Mr. Yegira for your efforts throughout this semester.
Yeah, Zola, thank you. A very good comment. I'll just add on to the discussion. For the curriculum that we wrote for the Masters in Foreign Policy Analysis, I asked Mr. Matt Bob and the CA department to contribute a unit on foreign policy and media framing. And I also asked the SRS department, Farah Wilson and Dr. Kuman, to write a unit on religion and foreign policy, so how religious practices in the country influence foreign policy making or decision making and political leadership in general. So I asked the two departments to contribute one unit each to the program. So that will open the door for CA graduates and SRS as well to apply for the program. So we'll have these two optional electives, or we can also include them in the main program. So we open the door for CA graduates as well as SRS and our PG graduates. All of you can apply after you finish your studies and take the masters in foreign policy analysis. So that's just to add on to your comment. We see that foreign policy is now, like as per our discussion, religion is in the media framing is very important. And many of the briefs that I've been writing is the narrative. I've been advising the government on the narrative. They should frame the narratives properly and tell the media. And one outcome is the Secretary for Foreign Affairs. That was based on a brief I wrote. I asked if they can frame it, make sure that they communicate with the audience so that we know that it's not because of Australia's need or Australia's interest in containing China, but it's on PNG's. It's based on PNG's interest to safely secure our borders from transnational criminal networks and keep our communities and society safe. So that's the messaging for the treaty. I thought it was not framed properly, and Australia framed it in a way that it was them trying to counter China, but it should be PNG trying to secure our border with the help of Australia. So the media played a really important role. I don't know whether or not you've been following the media, but the Australian media framed it in a particular way. So we're trying to get the PNG media to frame it in a way that influences the perception of people, so they can see that, oh, okay, treaty am good lah. And by helping me or protecting me yet, because all man come still fish me, all man carry more drug or something come no country me na go New Zealand, Australia. So suppose Australia helping me can stop him this all. Stop him stall illegal activities or passing in a good law, illegal use of our sovereign territory for their own economic gains. So that should be the message in PNG media And Australian media should also comply, not spinning it the other way and then putting the China factor in, and then it makes us question our sovereignty and whether or not we are doing this or signing the treaty and how it will affect our sovereignty and independence and all that. So yeah, just went on to the fact that media is now a really powerful force in foreign policy making in PNG and in other countries as well. And also religion, as we have seen from the lecture from Mr. Henao. And Mr. Ako, please add on and then we'll
No,
conclude.
no, no. I'm just trying to say, just support you on your comment about media being very powerful. I mean, you look at the YouTube lectures we put in. None of our experienced fathers in IR want to have a discussion with us on that. You see, because it's next level now. It's on Google. You know, it's on YouTube. It's online. And for the last 5 years, I've been trying to stimulate discussion if I bump into them on the street. But even one of them asked me to get him on to teach here, and I said, "Oh, you talk with Divine Wood and Mr. Yeager. I'm not in charge here." So it's the program we are running on YouTube. It's hitting home. The Divine Word is at the forefront of doing this. You look at Mr. Henao. I talk with him a lot daily, and he said, "Mate, the program you guys are running, it's and then recording them on YouTube. It's all there, and no one has any counter comments on them. Why? Simply because we are talking about the truth." And it's not something you and I pluck out of thin air and we are putting it. It's all there. They've experienced them, and we're just relaying all the facts they've experienced. So, and just also in addition to what the topic we're talking about, you all will graduate and go out and join the workforce, either private or public sector, but it's all there on, you plug on. If there's another thing you want to consult on and you cannot get in touch with us, you just go into the YouTube channel and then go through it and plug them out and write them up in whatever brief you are writing, referencing to YouTube channel, and there you go. It's all set. Like I mentioned, that this is in three, Tommy and his people put, that is unknown in the public service. If you were presenting this now to a group of publishers, they will ask you what that is. Why did this in trees? Almost sorry. Look him. And then for you guys to go ahead and research that and then to put it into a policy framework. Oh, this is what the Prime Minister is talking about. He wants innovative ideas coming into provide public service to the country. Okay, I'll stop there before I start sounding like a politician.
All right, thank you, Mr. Akon, and thank you, Zola, for the really interesting questions and your comment as well. And we'll stop here. Oh, someone has a final question. Okay, Rafaela, we'll have you as the last.
Yeah. Yep. Afternoon, Mr. Yeager and Mr. Ako. Just clarification that I just wanted from you regarding the sessions here. A few of us may have a few questions and comments yet to cover for those that we missed at the beginning of the semester. So I was wondering, is it appropriate to ask those during the presentation or the presentation sessions, or do we schedule a consultation time with you to get those done?
I believe in my message to you, I said, because I'm traveling out for data collection, the presentation period can be used as well for those who are yet to comment and yeah, ask questions and make comments. So if you have not completed your tally in the first 2 or 4 or 6 weeks, and you still have you're short, then you can cover for that in the presentation period. So I made that statement in black and white in the announcement I made, and I also reminded those who asked me a similar type of question during the consultation period. So yes, like this afternoon, if you had any questions or comments that were from the first 2 sessions, then you could have asked Mr. Ako and then you could have answered. So, for example, so maybe you can do that next week. So we'll have our last presentation next Tuesday, and then Mr. Ako agreed to Tuesday night and Thursday night as well. Unfortunately, yesterday I was on the road, so I was not able to schedule a meeting. But we can have one tomorrow Saturday, if that is okay with Mr. Ako.
I'm okay with weekends now. My team lost it, so I don't have any 2 hours.
Sunday night is no, because GFA.
Oh, I think Sunday 6 to 8 will be a good time to have a session.
All right. Thank you for the clarification.
Okay. All right, then that's all. We'll close. Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Ako, once again for your time. And apologies for the technical issue, Tommy, and your group. I joined a bit late, so but Mr. Ako was able to capture what you said and gave you feedback, and I hope that will be captured in his marking as well. So
Yeah.
thank you. We'll mark your write-ups and also your oral, and then Mr. Ako has done that for the first one, and now for the next 2, and then I'll do mine as well, and then we'll enter it into the grade book. So thank you, everyone. Have a
Okay, everyone. Have a good weekend. School good. Maintain. Bye.
Create a meeting link.
Thank
I'll email
you.
it to you all. All right.